Dreams save us, dreams lift us up and transform us into something greater. But what if dreams were prisons? What if instead of something to aspire to, dreams served as a way to escape reality? Would they become nightmares, or would they be a paradise that one could use to escape reality? Well, Somniloquium Serenum intends to give us an answer. The dream of Ave Mujica will be challenged by terror, and should they fail to overcome their peril, the souls of all will be forfeit. But before I hit you all with the Unlimited Void domain expansion, aka explaining to you all what a Ave Mujica is, let's cover some Arknights lore. This event features the Castle of Dreams. Never heard of them? Me neither. Okay, that's not entirely true, but I had mostly forgotten the castle, so it still counts. And as one forgets a dream when one wakes, so too does a lore bro when something isn't touched on often. Regardless, not much is known of the Castle of Dreams. They are a mysterious organization with a fairy tale aesthetic. They are a group of fairies, proficient in Originium arts, that can influence dreams. They use this incredible power to give children sweet dreams, usually by treating them to banquets and making their wishes come true. Although, they do also make an effort to venture forth into the land of Terra to spread dream to good children. Additionally, they seek to give those children with a life of suffering dreams to soothe their pain. Good children may enter the castle in their dreams, be welcomed by the castle's master, and have a merry time. When waking, more poetically called leaving the castle, they may choose to leave their own most precious belongings to the castle and make an agreement with its master. The agreement being something like this: at some precise time when they've grown up, they'll receive this gift from the castle's collection. Common knowledge would consider this nothing more than a Victorian fairy tale, but as I have mentioned it here, you can rest assured that it is very real. Rhodes Island operator Iris is the current master of the castle, having taken up the role as an operator following returning a memento of one of Rhodes Island's dead operators. Another operator, Benna, is also a fairy from the castle. Both tell tales of their grandmother, the former master of the castle. She has adopted many of the fairies within this castle. This fairy godmother now takes a backseat to the goings-on of the castle. This woman you have been looking at during this section is that very grandmother. With this image appearing in Integrated Strategies 2, and me not putting the pieces together until I was writing this script that these were the same people. And now, our featured ladies, the girls of Ave Mujica. But before we introduce you to them, a story. Not this event story, but one from your host, Mr. Bionicle. Our story begins 6 months ago, when this collab was revealed to us in all its glory. 6 months is a long time. You could really transform your life in that time. From hitting the gym to get swole and lose weight, to chasing that bag to get your money up, if not your funny up. Unfortunately, it's not enough time for a guy who talks about Arknights on the internet to actually watch 26 episodes of anime. That is until he discovered the joy of reading about girls with mental illnesses who sing about their problems. That takes us to Thursday, the 19th of February. On that day, the musical girl's mental illness possessed me like the symbiote, so I watched all 26 episodes. And so, on the 20th of February, I now possess the requisite knowledge to tell you the basics of the girls, without just referencing a wiki page. Before Ave Mujica began, there was a girl, TOGAWA Sakiko. She was a girl who loved music. Her life was once a beautiful one, loving parents and a talented pianist. That all changed in the final year of middle school. Her mother passed away, and while her father promised to take care of her, he would be disowned from the Togawa family following a fraud case. Taking her father's side, Sakiko would leave the family too. Unfortunately, the whole experience would not be kind to her father, and he would drown his sorrows in alcohol. As such, Sakiko would have to support her father, from working multiple jobs to bailing him out when he got picked up by the police. Her life of luxury was well and truly left behind. However, I did say she loved music, and one fateful day, she and her childhood friend, Wakaba Matsumi, would see Morphonica perform at a music festival. This awakened in Sakiko the desire to form her own band, and so, following a chance meeting with Tomori, Sakiko would form Kraichik with Mitsumi, Taki, Soyo, and of course, Tomori. However, due to everything happening at home, this dream of a band was not to last. So following one live performance, the band would be disbanded by Sakiko. 3 members of Kraichik, break, Taki, Soyo, and Tomori would end up going on to form the band Maigo with Anon and Rana. Sakiko would watch them at their first live show, but after they sang one of Krychek's songs, Sakiko would run from the venue, being overwhelmed by the experience. It was that moment which would cause Sakiko to create Ave Mujica. Alongside Mitsumi, she would recruit Misumi Uika, Utenji Nyamu, and Yahata Omuri. And so, the dream of Ave Mujica was born. Although that is the basics of the girls, I am sure someone who loves them more than me will let me know if I got anything wrong. It should be enough for our purposes though. All that's left to do is introduce our performers. Starting with our leading lady, Togawa Sakiko, the leader, composer, and of course pianist of Ave Mujica. On stage, she performs under the name Oblivionus, Forgetfulness. She will also be appearing on Terra as a Sarkaz. I have already given you plenty of information on her just by exploring the foundations of the band. Next up is Misumi Uika, the vocalist, lead guitarist, and lyricist of Ave Mujica. She performs under the name Dolores, Sorrow. She will be a Pero during her time on Terra. Before joining Ave Mujica, she was already a vocalist and guitarist of the idol duo Sumumi, before being invited to join Ave Mujica by Sakiko. She is a childhood friend of Sakiko, and they have a deep connection with each other from their time as children. There is absolutely no other thing that connects them besides their friendship. Watch the show. However, I will say that we are all going to be beating Togawa Sadaharu to death with our bare hands. She's already been referenced a few times, so next up is the other guitarist of Ave Mujica, Wakaba Mutsumi. She performs under the name Mortis, Death. Mutsumi's going to be a Katus in this event. She, like Uika, is another childhood friend of Sakiko, and out of all of the members of the band, has spent the most time with her. As a former member of Krychek, she is the only one of the band who knew the reason behind Sakiko disbanding it. Although it is something of a spoiler, I must tell you that Mutsumi suffers from dissociative identity disorder. This will be relevant later, which is why I am telling you about this, and not the Uika spoiler. The bassist of Ave Mujica is Yahata Umuri. She performs under the stage name Timorous, Fear. Umuri takes the form of a Lupo on Terra. She has spent much of her high school life performing as a bassist for multiple bands. Not like in Uika's case where she has one other commitment, she at one point was in 30 bands, although she says only 10 were active. This of course is caused by trauma. She is unwilling to put all her eggs in one basket, and as such covers that up with creating shallow connections, never allowing her to form deeper bonds. Finally, Utenji Namu, the drummer. She performs under the name Amoris, Love. She's going to be a feline as well. On top of that, she is plagued by perhaps the worst mental illness of all. She's a social media influencer. I know you might need to take a moment before continuing, and I understand. Her primary motivation in life is to get her money up, not her funny up. Clicks, baby. It's all about the clicks. She'll do whatever it takes to keep those numbers up. I know she would make clickbait YouTube videos if given the chance. And yes, I can reuse the same jokes. I added a little bit about clicks, so it's basically entirely new. And with that covered, it's time for the story. Our collab story begins where you might imagine it would, in the world of Ave Mujica. After what must have been a pretty great Ave Mujica concert, the girls are discussing how great it went. Nyamu wants to have more fan interaction at the next show, but Sakiko thinks it would detract from their mystique, which isn't a surprise considering how seriously she takes this band. With our lovable anime girls reaching a crossroad, when the light turns green, 3 of the girls cross over, leaving Uika and Sakiko to have a quiet moment together. Uika tells her that she's glad all 5 of them are still together. Ave Mujica has made their dreams come true. In the business, we call this Yuri, although more accurately, it's a bit of foreshadowing for this event. Funny Uika mentions them being together though, because it causes Sakiko to remember the time when Nyamu wanted to disband Ave Mujica. Momentarily stun-locked by this, Sakiko doesn't notice Uika crossing the road, and by the time she comes to her senses, the light is red. Even with her bandmates all waving back at her, all Sakiko can think is that they don't trust her. With the road separating them, and both rain and memories crashing down on her, Sakiko cries. Her despair blurs both her vision and memories. Awakening from this strange dream aboard Rhodes Island, Vigna has come to wake her up. Sakiko wonders what that dream was all about and who those strange people were. She confides in Vigna about it, although Vigna can't really help her. Sakiko has been a member of Rhodes Island for about 6 months, and in that time she has become incredibly beloved on the landship, providing assistance wherever needed. Sakiko's dragged off from helping Vigna due to medical needing her help, and only meets up with her after she's resolved that situation. Vigna complains that Sakiko is yet to show up to the music club for practice due to all the departments wanting her to help them. She hopes no one's taking advantage of her and tells her to let her know if she's ever overwhelmed. Sakiko tells her not to worry about it as she joined Rhodes Island to help people. It's all she's wanted to do since her mother died of neuropathy. When Vigna is called upon for caravan work, Sakiko offers to help Vigna with the job. They arrive just before the caravan departs and the two meet up with Benna and Iris. Vigna introduces the two as fairies from the Castle of Dreams. Iris offers to interpret Sakiko's dream, but first they must head for Victoria. Iris has been in communication with an author from there who in her last letter spoke of never wanting to become an adult. With her birthday only 12 hours away, they don't have much time, shortened even further by the car bursting a tire. Although 4 hours behind schedule, they manage to arrive in Victoria. Knowing time is short, they decide to split up. Vigna is against Sakiko operating alone, but is convinced by Sakiko to go along with splitting up because they are running out of time. While searching for the girl Anne, Sakiko runs into an old woman who directs her to Anne's home. Entering the house, she encounters the girl's drunk father. The man calls out for his daughter, promising that he'll do better and give up drinking for her if she just comes back. No doubt seeing glimpses of her past in the man, Sakiko quickly flees the house and ends up running into the girl. Anne tells Sakiko about how she used to love fairy tales, but after her mother left, she lost the happiness they once gave her. She tells Sakiko how she was on the edge earlier, and the only thing that stopped her was Iris's letter. Although Iris won't reach her in time, Sakiko offers to give Anne a present of her own. She plays a lullaby for her. One last lullaby before she becomes an adult. Iris arrives shortly after Sakiko's lullaby put the girl to sleep, and uses her Originium Oats to give them a pleasant dream. With Benna minding Anne, Iris finally has time to discuss things with Sakiko. Iris tells her of the dream she gave Anne, one that will welcome her into adulthood and remind Sakiko that dreams are not to be wallowed in. No matter how sweet the dream may be, they all end when one wakes. This is why Iris uses dreams to give people strength at their lowest point. As thanks for planting a seed of hope in Anne, Iris gives Sakiko a necklace that wards off bad dreams. As she puts on the necklace, Sakiko finds herself back aboard Rhodes Island with a wolf standing before her. As her dream fades away, she finds herself face to face with Morpheus within the Castle of Dreams. Morpheus claims to be the current master of the castle and welcomes Sakiko to her domain. She has placed all of Ave Mujica into their own dream, but complains that Sakiko's dream was boring, so she didn't put much effort into it. Not to mention, somehow those two pests, Iris and Benna, were there. Sakiko is confused, wondering if they are real, with Morpheus telling her that she wishes they were only real in dreams. Sakiko asks her to release her friends, but Morpheus refuses. The castle is boring, and she's having too much fun with their dreams. Morpheus intends to send her into a new dream, but Sakiko refuses. With Sakiko rejecting her dreams, Morpheus offers her a deal. She will allow Sakiko to enter her friends' dreams, and if she can convince them to wake up, she will allow them all to leave. Knowing her friends need her, Sakiko agrees. She won't leave a single member of Ave Mujica behind, and so Morpheus sends her into the Dreamlands, with many different visions of what he's about to encounter flashing before Sakiko's eyes. Awakening in Lungmen, Sakiko finds herself in Nyamu's dream. Even as a solo act, Nyamu still feels like a doll. She goes where her producers tell her to and says what they want her to, symbolized most fittingly by the latest film she will star in. The film depicts a girl traveling to Lungmen by crossing the wilderness. When she reaches there, she would become a great musician, although she would only achieve such a feat in a dream. That heartfelt story was scrapped to make use of Nyamu's star power, with the director and scriptwriter arguing over this abandonment of the story's soul, resulting in the two being hospitalized. With filming on break, Nyamu receives a call from her family. They ask her how life in the big city is treating her and if she will be able to come back home for the holidays. Unfortunately, she is the busiest around the holidays and will not be able to return home for some time. Right after saying goodbye to her family, she's immediately called upon by her agency. There's an upcoming show with Sora and they want her to make an appearance. With her next gig arranged, she is finally free to sleep. Although before she does, she takes one longing look at her drum set. It's been gathering dust due to her busy schedule, and she doesn't even remember where the drumsticks are. The following day, with the show being broadcast live, Nyamu and Sora hit the stage. Sakiko is outside the building it's being filmed at and is looking for a way inside. With the help of a local who claims he often takes people in to see the recordings, she manages to infiltrate the building. When almost caught, the man berates Sakiko as if she's an employee, which makes even the security guard worried for Sakiko's safety. With Croissant running Sora's security detail, she overhears from one of the other workers that they are worried Nyamu is being overworked as she has stopped uploading drumming practice videos. That is interrupted by Croissant's security drones detecting two intruders. Chased down by the drones, the man transforms into Morpheus. She has had her fun messing with Sakiko and vanishes, leaving Sakiko to fail. Nyamu, meanwhile, is asked to recreate one of the scenes from her latest film. However, she has a bit of a mental breakdown. Not anything explosive, but when thinking of this character who never abandoned her dreams of becoming the greatest drummer, she freezes up. Thankfully, before any acting happens, Sakiko bursts onto set, grabbing a hold of Nyamu and leaping through the window. Nyamu finds herself in freefall, thinking of how her dream of fame has consumed her dream of drumming. Sakiko tells her it's time to wake up as our look into this dream fades away. Within a Syracusan prison, Umuri is released after serving the latest of her incarcerations, with mafia members that she had previously worked for hunting her down. They manage to corner her in an alleyway, and according to them, she has made a career out of betraying every family she's ever worked with. Although she is outnumbered, Umuri is not afraid at all. Sakiko approaches the alleyway but is warned about what she's getting herself into by an old woman. Regardless, Sakiko is too late to encounter Umuri. Only one of the mafioso, Francis, is still in the area and overheard her complaining about being unable to find her. He offers to help her hunt Umuri down, and so the two join forces. Umuri, meanwhile, is being summoned by the mafia family that paid her to go to prison. Having served a 6-month sentence for them, the boss is looking to reward her. They wish for her to join the family. Sakiko and Francis arrive at Umuri's hideout, and Francis tells Sakiko how Umuri betrayed them 6 months ago, disappearing right before the family was attacked. Although Sakiko doubts the man's story, she is unable to voice these complaints as they are surrounded by mafioso. Umuri recalls how she treated Francis's family as nothing more than an employer, a small family in need of her strength. Despite acting distant, she enjoyed her time there and became quite close to them. On the day after being invited to join Francis's family, she was asked to take the fall for another family, being shipped off to prison in quick order. She'd done it before, but this time was different. She missed Francis's family and their musical parties. Only after being released did she learn of their fate. With the offer from the family before her promising a new home, Sakiko arrives to meet her. The boss tasks Umuri with getting rid of their unwanted guests, and so the two confront each other in an alleyway. Umuri places her sword on Sakiko's neck. Both notice Jewel is being observed, with Umuri under the thumb of the mob and Morpheus enjoying Sakiko's struggle. Sakiko tells Umuri that she's here to wake her from her dream. Sure, the dream displays her individual strength, but she has always relied on others. Not for their strength, but their companionship. Sakiko refuses to allow her friend to suffer like this, and just like before, the dream fades to black. Within her dream, Uika loses grip on her memories. Not a single person remains on this island who knows her. However, unbeknownst to her, Sakiko has just arrived. Disembarking the boat she came here on, the captain of the ship informs her that if she is looking for someone, she should do so quickly, as the boat must leave at noon. This is due to the dangerous waters surrounding the island at night. Wasting no time, Sakiko sets out to find her friend. Uika, meanwhile, is meeting with Aya Fayala. Uika is scolding her for not properly looking after her health, as her hearing has gotten worse during her stay on the island. Aya refuses to leave despite that, as she still has data to collect over her remaining month on the island. So Aya asks Uika to sing something for her, with Uika of course obliging her. She sings Imprisoned 21, by the way, for all you Ave Mujica fans. Sakiko meanwhile has made no progress with her search, with none of the other island residents knowing who Uika is. However, an old woman told her to go talk to a specific local, as they are known to be the most social person on the island. With that local telling her of an isolated mansion on the other side of the island, Sakiko borrows his old bike and sets off. The two men she was talking to transform into Morpheus and the wolf after she left. Morpheus is still looking for Sakiko's weak spot, so she's willing to play along with her for now. This does include messing with her, as the bike she gave her was old, and Sakiko ends up crashing, which pleases Morpheus greatly. Sakiko, meanwhile, pedals like her life depends on it. In the distance, she sees the mansion she is looking for. However, the horn of the boat reaches her, reminding her that she doesn't have much time left. Uika takes Aya out of the sun and into her home. Well, technically she's the housekeeper, although the owner hasn't been here for a long time. Uika tells Aya about her. She was the first person to ever see her as she is, her first friend. Uika laments the never-ending cycle of loneliness. Every day is the same emptiness. Even the seemingly unchanging stars that she loves to watch will one day separate as they drift through the cosmos. The woman she is waiting for boarded that ship and left her behind. But Uika remained behind. It's been so long now that she has forgotten her name and appearance, waiting for her return or her death. Whatever comes first. She confides all of this in Aya, who refuses to give up on her new friend. This isn't the ending Uika deserves. She encourages her to go out and find her friend and confess her feelings to her. With her motivation to find her friend reignited, Uika heads for the dock. Just a moment too soon, as Sakiko arrives shortly after she left. Aya is still there and tells Sakiko where Uika has gone. Uika arrives at the dock just as the signal tower is forcing the boat to head off. Taking one last look back at the island and thinking of her friend. She had assumed she would stay on the island until Sakiko returned, but with her desire to see her at a new height, she steps on the boat. Arriving at the dock only a moment too late, Sakiko calls out for Uika. Morpheus mocks her for being only a step behind her. Morpheus is impressed, however. She had expected Uika to remain on the island, trapped forever in her endless cycle of misery, doomed to eventually completely forget Sakiko. Unfortunately, her journey will still end in tragedy, as Morpheus only built the island, so eventually Uika will reach the edge and fall into the abyss. Only death at sea awaits her before the cycle begins again. Morpheus isn't giving Sakiko another chance either and drops her into the abyss, with her awakening again inside the dream of Mutsumi. This is the easiest dream for her to find her friend, literally waking up in front of her. Mutsumi's dream has taken us to Rim Billiton, and she is living out of a mineshaft. After all, the children of Rim Billiton yearn for the mines. Mutsumi tells Sakiko that she's been living here for a year with her parents, and Sakiko is surprised that Mutsumi has a good relationship with her mother. Their family isn't rich or anything, but the community is tight-knit and everyone is happy. Wormy arrives at Mitsumi's home and invites the family to the communal party. Everyone wants to hear Mutsumi perform. Mutsumi reveals to Sakiko that she knows this is a dream and that she is almost ready to go back, but wants one more chance to say goodbye before the end. And so Mutsumi picks up her guitar and sings for the crowd. Sakiko watches on, unable to drag her friend away from this dream. The Mutsumi before her is far happier than she ever was with her. Unable to bring herself to ruin Mutsumi's happiness, Sakiko runs from the room and out into the wilderness. Morpheus appears before her once more, satisfied with the dream she's built for Mutsumi. She's fully aware of Morpheus, but is unwilling to abandon this dream. Mutsumi appears before Sakiko and asks her to return to the party. But this is not Mutsumi. Back at the party, Mutsumi asks where Sakiko is gone, refusing to believe she would abandon her. The shadows of Mutsumi, her other personalities, have built this dream alongside Mutsumi and refuse to let the dream end. Sakiko might not want to hurt Mutsumi, but they won't let her ruin this new reality. Knowing that Sakiko would never abandon Mutsumi though, the shadows cast Sakiko into the abyss. In Lungmen, Sakiko speaks with Nyamu. She's the hardest working drummer she knows and doesn't need to pretend to be something she's not. In Sirakusa, she talks to Umuri, always jumping from group to group. She's never found a place she belongs to, so Sakiko invites her to join her. Although she was too late to reach her, Sakiko promises to find Uika no matter how long it takes. Mutsumi knows the dream isn't real, and Sakiko promises to wake her from that false reality. However, she failed to wake any of them, and finds herself back in the Castle of Dreams and face to face with Morpheus. Sakiko is furious at her abuse of her friends. Ave Mujica is their contract, and they all promise their lives to her, so she won't allow them to be treated like this. Morpheus delights in reminding her that this contract failed to save any of them. Nyamu refused to abandon her fame, Umuri refused to be saved from isolation, Uika had abandoned her hope in Sakiko's return, and Mutsumi's shadows refused to allow Sakiko to have Mutsumi. She might have altered Morpheus's dreams, but she failed to rescue any of them, proving Morpheus to be the most talented fairy in the castle. Sakiko calls Morpheus a fraud compared to Iris, which finally makes Morpheus realize why she hates Sakiko. She reminds her of Iris. She dismisses Sakiko's words, telling her that she has failed to rescue any of her band, and once more plunges Sakiko into a dream. Aboard a Rhodes Island transport with Vigna, Iris, and Benna once more, Sakiko assumes this is the same dream as before. However, instead of going to see Anne, they are heading for Sakiko's home. Arriving at her hometown, an older woman greets Sakiko and answers her question of where her home is, despite how awkward that question made the conversation. This is not Japan, so what awaits her is not the Togawa mansion or the rundown apartment her father calls home. Inside, her father awaits her with dinner being prepared. He's excited to see her and almost burns the food. When attempting to pat her head, Sakiko flinches back. The difference between this man and the one she knows is startling, and just as she's settling into this dream, she hears a piano. Her mother, Mizuho, practicing. Sakiko's legs shake. She slowly but surely approaches that music. She remembers how she cried during her funeral, how her mother taught her to play the piano. She wants to run, to abandon this false reality, but instead runs for the sound. And what awaits her is the woman she's wanted nothing more than to see one last time. Sakiko and her mother have a heart-to-heart, with Mizuho complimenting how much better her daughter has become at the piano since she was last home. Following their catch-up, the family have dinner together for the first time in years. With her father giving Sakiko too much to eat, she needs to take a moment outside to recover. Her mother asks if she can forgive him, but all Sakiko can think about is what he became after her mother's death. Seeing the pain on her daughter's face, Mizuho reminds her that her father loves her. Sakiko feels like crying, and her mother comforts her, telling her she always was a crybaby. Sakiko doubts this, but her mother tells her that she would never lie to her. So Sakiko asks her if she remembers her first day of high school. Of course she does. She was there after all. However, her own mother died during her final year of middle school. Suddenly, the members of Rhodes Island who accompanied her crash into some hay, and Sakiko leaves her mother behind to help them. They have finished up their work earlier than intended and plan to return to Rhodes Island in the afternoon. Sakiko is reluctant to leave her mother so soon, and Iris notices her watching from a distance. Iris comments on the firm resolution she feels in Sakiko, although in this moment Sakiko can't find any of it. She asks Iris what one would do if trapped in a dream by a fairy. Iris doubts that any true fairy would do such a thing, but answers her question regardless. That despite how blissful an experience that might be, while the body may not age, the soul would, and one would find themselves unable to face reality anymore. So if it is doomed to fail anyway, one should bid farewell to it properly. Iris apologizes to her for waxing poetically at her, but she was once asked that question by another and failed to give a satisfactory response. Leaving behind the Rhodes Island team, Sakiko returns to her mother. While practicing the piano together again, Mizuho puts a stop to Sakiko's playing. She asks her about her time on Rhodes Island and if she managed to join a band there. So Sakiko tells her about Ave Mujica. The drummer she constantly clashes with, the bassist whose technique is superb, the guitar vocalist who excels at songwriting, and the guitarist who has been by her side since childhood. They are separated now, and she's scared to return to them if it means leaving her mother behind. Mizuho reminds her that she will always be there for her, but Sakiko knows she's already left once, so her mother apologizes to her, for despite claiming she would never lie, she is told one white lie. She's known this was a dream all along. She knew she wasn't Sakiko's real mother. She has no memories of her high school life, or what suffering she's been through without her. In her hardest, most painful moments, she wasn't there for her, but she is now, and because she loves her, she wants her to return to reality, with the two parting after sharing one last hug. Following Sakiko's failure to wake Nyamu, she's been put on leave by her agency. Although her kidnapping was resolved, it's better to let things die down for a while. Seeing her drumsticks for the first time in months, Nyamu finally plays for a bit. It's awful, as you would imagine. Back in the boss's office, Umuri is criticized for letting Sakiko go. Umuri, however, has come to a conclusion in that time and refuses to join up with his family, wishing to keep her options open. She intends to return to Francis's family, but the boss never intended to let her go, and she finds herself surrounded. With the island already out of sight, Uika thinks she heard someone calling to her. Telling the boatman of her plans to find someone, he says that's the second time someone has said that to him today, although before he can tell her who, a wave crashes down upon the boat. Mutsumi misses her electric guitar and has locked her parents out of the house till they tell her where Sakiko went. They claim not to know, but Mutsumi knows they are lying. No longer playing around, the shadows appear before her. Sakiko reaches the Rhodes Island team just before they leave, and asks Iris for the necklace she gave her before. It keeps nightmares away and will be her salvation from this place. Sakiko once again wakes up in the Castle of Dreams and tells Morpheus that it's time to end this farce. Morpheus is of course not pleased, but is left shocked by the appearance of the necklace. Sakiko has seen her friend's dreams and knows that no happiness awaits them there, but within Ave Mujica, they may find that happiness. Once more taking the form of a Sorkaz, Sakiko begins to play. Within Rimbiliten, Mutsumi hears the chords, with her shadows collapsing before her. Within Sirakusa, Umuri hears the chords, with Francis arriving to rescue her, revealing to her that Sakiko told him what this place really was, and he urges her to return to her friends. Within Lungmen, Nyamu hears the chords, giving one last performance for her fans via livestream. Beneath the waves, Uika hears the chords, and remembers the name of the person she's looking for. Sakiko apologizes for all the times she's hurt her friends, but right now, she wants nothing more than to see them. And so, Ave Mujica begins their debut on Terra. Accompanied by an animated PV, the girls overcome the false reality offered by Morpheus. After finishing their performance, Sakiko hears the voices of those she saved from beside her. She looks upon a sight she never thought she would see again. Her friends. Her Ave Mujica. Once again, return to the form they had on Earth, they take in the sight of the Castle of Dreams. Morpheus is shocked that they overcame her dreams and refuses to allow them to leave. But Wolf asks her to reconsider. Refusing, she attempts to entrap them again and skewer them with her treads, but all those treads are cut to pieces. With Wolf saving Morpheus from hitting the ground, Benna and Iris arrive on the scene. Sakiko thanks them for the assist before collapsing. Waking up later, Sakiko is comforted by Iris. When Iris introduced herself to Sakiko, she reveals that she already appeared in her dreams. Iris is surprised that Morpheus would allow such a thing, but assumes it is the work of the previous master of the castle, the grandmother. She was the one who gave Iris her necklace, which alerted her to something happening in the castle, the same necklace which saved Sakiko from her dream. In many of the dreams when lost, an older woman would appear to help Sakiko, the grandmother's touches no doubt. Iris wonders if Sakiko can forgive Morpheus for what she's done, and is surprised to find out that she can. Sakiko can't seem to find the ability to hate her despite what she's done. Even when she finally overcame Morpheus, she didn't feel angry, she just felt a deep sorrow from the girl. Iris reveals to her that Morpheus cannot leave the castle. When she was young, her parents abandoned her, and despite Iris and Benna's best efforts, they could never get her to recover to the point she could face reality. Sakiko offers to Iris the same words of encouragement she gave her in her dreams, hoping that one day Iris can give Morpheus a dream that lets her recover. With that said, Sakiko wonders why they have not returned to Earth yet. Iris can offer no advice on that matter, but perhaps the doctor can. Sakiko is happy at the prospect of meeting with Rhodes Island and seeing the friends she made there in reality. As with all dreams, her memories of them are already fading, and Iris tells her it's likely by the time she returns to her world that she will have forgotten her time on Terra completely. Regardless, Iris will remember them for her, and one day should their paths cross again, she hopes they will perform for her. Outside of the meeting between Sakiko and Iris, the other members of Ave Mujica await their leader. Benna is forcing Morpheus to set up a stage for the girls. Morpheus wanted to build it in a dream, but that idea was unanimously shot down. With the stage complete and Morpheus' ear thoroughly flicked by Benna, Ave Mujica is ready to perform again for the Castle of Dreams. All look forward to their performance, with Morpheus moulding about it in the corner, although Sakiko just laughs at her pouting, which pisses her off. A new fairy tale is born, and the dream of Ave Mujica on Terra comes to an end. For now. Assuming they make it back home. And assuming we don't get a second collab with Ave Mujica for some reason. It's absolute cinema desuwa. This story really captures the feel of Ave Mujica and tells a story that could not exist in their own world. Which really is the point of any collab story. Although I would have liked more focus on the other girls, centering the story entirely around Sakiko was the correct choice. She is best girl after all. Including her mother in the story was an act of creative genius. It really made me emotional reading it, and it's what got me to actually watch the anime. Losing a parent is never easy, and having the chance of a reality where your happy family never breaks down would make anyone consider giving up on escaping. And it's Mizuho's love for her daughter that gives Sakiko the strength needed to leave this paradise behind. After all, what loving mother wouldn't want the best for her daughter? Even if that best is returning to a reality without her. Using the Castle of Dreams as the backdrop for this event was also a fantastic decision, as making everything a dream allowed for them to tell the story of Ave Mujica with the girls as residents of Terra. The castle is a very underutilized part of the lore, so expanding upon it here was a great use of a pre-existing idea. Morpheus also proved to be an enjoyable antagonist. Having a presence throughout the event made her a lot more interesting of a character, cause if she only appeared when Sakiko was in reality, we would not see how much she likes to torment those who are nigh her. Morpheus trying to prove to herself that living in a dream is better than reality is very good character stuff, and with her comparing Sakiko to Iris manages to make this about the Castle of Dreams philosophy. Although considering that the grandmother was taking the side of Sakiko the entire time, you can imagine what the Castle of Dreams' intended philosophy is. I especially enjoyed how Sakiko, over her time in Morpheus' constructed dreams, learned more about the girl and how she thinks. Morpheus would prove to be quite a fitting member for Ave Mujica. She too is lost in the world, without connections she can truly rely on. Of course, someone like Sakiko, who used Ave Mujica as a home for the lost, could come to understand her. Also, she has just a bunch of incredible expressions. I need a playable Morpheus, immediately Hippogriff. I was also not expecting to come out of this event as a fan of Iris. I had damn near forgotten she was even in the game. It doesn't help that she's a Mystic Caster either, which is just, you know, not the best subclass. And so I want to bring this video to an end and toss the ball over to you. Did you enjoy this event? Did it make you an Ave Mujica fan like me? Cause if it did, I want to know how you're coping without having any more Ave Mujica anime to watch. I finished all of it in one day and I just genuinely don't know how to live with myself now. Maybe I need to watch more banned animes. But that is my cross to bear. And so, I would like to say a thank you to all my wonderful channel members. You are the beautiful dreams to the nightmare that is this channel. Y'all be good people, and I will talk to you in the next one. So I know I already touched on it when I was talking about Uika earlier, but I'm serious. If TOGAWA, SADAHARU, Hitler, and myself were locked in a room together with a gun with one bullet in it, I would shoot Hitler and then beat SADAHARU to death with my bare hands.